everyone, it's Jason Wang, and I am here with a special guest to chat about some things Masterchef. So can you say welcome to Shari Mukherjee from season 10 of Masterchef?
Hi, everyone.
So it's been an amazing experience getting to know and meet lots of people from Masterchef, and we had this opportunity to get together. So I think it's important right now. We have season Back to Win airing, and I thought it'd be a great chance to catch up with some old friends and folks I haven't seen before, and maybe dish a little on the current season and find out what they're up to. So Shari, tell us, what have you been up to? You were on season 10.
I was on season 10.
And what was your placement for season 10?
I got 5th place, tied with Suba.
So you've had an amazing following and a lot of amazing things happening since then. So tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, after the show came back, I really threw myself into food. I started teaching cooking classes. I did some private dinners and that sort of thing. I started a little cookie and bar business, cottage food out of my home. I am a mom, so it's really hard, especially when the pandemic hit. Yeah. Everything changed. I have kids with me 24/7. I really pivoted to virtual classes, which has been so much fun. I do cooking demos, so travel every once in a while and make appearances. And I also have done some recipe development for brands such as Hormel. And I helped create donuts for this local place called The Donut.
I got to try some of them, so they're super delicious. And we actually met, the first time was actually on your season. It was the pool party challenge.
I lost those, so I saw you from a distance. Yeah. Like, I was a super fan of Masterchef before, ever getting on. I never really thought I would get on. It was like a weird pipe dream. When I saw all the previous contestants walking in, I was like, oh my God, there's Jason, there's Dino, there's Adrian. Like, I was so excited.
And I think for me, just getting to meet Shari in person, you see the amazing things people do on Instagram and social media, but there is a real person behind there. And I think it's important that people realize you're fans of the show, fans of these people's personalities, and they are real people in real life with lots of responsibilities and things to deal with. So just like you and me, we have our ups and downs and imperfections, and sometimes on the show it gets maybe magnified, some of our flaws, some of our personality quirks. So I'm thrilled today I get to chat with Shari and actually dig a little bit deeper. So Shari, for you, I know a big part of your aesthetic is just things are really beautiful. You're great with photography. You have a real eye for kind of design and how things look visually. And I think on the show that served you very well.
See, and I beg to differ. I think on the show, everything I made was never as I wanted it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we were always told you cannot start plating your food until the last couple of minutes. I don't know. Was it like that on your season?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you were pushed to cook until the end.
Yeah.
And so I really am kind of a rule follower and took that to heart. And so I a lot of times wouldn't start plating or even thinking about plating. Now, as the season went on, of course, this changes because you get to know the flow and realize I better go get this bowl, because if I run back there and they take all the bowls,
you're stuck.
What am I going to do? And so it changes as you're there. But in the beginning, I waited and your plates would just be messy. And that's why it's really hard sometimes when you're watching the show, and it's very easy to look and be like, man, that looks terrible. Yeah. But then I think back and I'm like, but they probably waited until the end and they were rushed, and that's why.
So Shari, a perfect transition segue. We need to talk about this current season airing. So it is Back to Win. A lot of people we know, a lot of people we know of, IG, social media friends, maybe people we've never met in person, but certainly we have our ideas and fan favorites. So let's dish a little bit about, have some tea on the current
Where is our tea? We should have made tea.
We're having virtual tea. So yes. I think Back to Win, a lot of people call it All Stars. I like to say it's Back to Win because you really are back to win. And also for any particular season,
What defines a star? Who are the all-stars?
We're all stars.
Yeah, right? That's what I mean.
We are literally all stars. And I think part of it is you can't have that many. There are too many amazing contestants.
Yeah.
So we don't all fit.
And a lot of the fan favorites are, where's Suba?
Yeah.
If it's an all-star season, come on.
So it's a back to win season. Definitely super amazing, but I certainly have some opinions on maybe who's made it in so far and how they did so. Let's talk about the apron audition. So it's shown over 3 different episodes. A lot of people we've seen before. Some people are missing conspicuously. Who are you really excited to see back for the apron battles?
Okay, so I was really excited to see Fred. I love Fred. So I was very, very excited to see Fred was coming back. I was excited to see Adrian. That made my heart so happy. As a super fan, he was one of my all-time favorites. Very happy to see Gabe.
Yes.
I wanted Gabe to do extremely well. Again, I just really love Gabe. He has such good energy. And those were the main ones that I was just like really, really excited for. I was excited they brought Natasha back. Yeah, I thought she could add some drama.
I think for me, one of the big things was seeing past runners up in the whole mix. Because I think, me being a past runner up, there's a lot of pressure on you. So I think part of the whole strategy is thinking, am I going to be able to finally grab that title? And I think that drives a lot of the former people. And you placed very high in your season as well. Yeah. So it's just thinking about, am I going to get there this time?
For me, it was hard because I didn't get a chance after we cooked poorly in our team challenge. There was no pressure test. Yeah. There was no chance to cook better than my teammates. And so for me, it was like this really open, I don't want to say wound, but kind of. Yeah. It was this open, but I didn't get redemption. Yeah. Where's my redemption?
And I think for a lot of us, we care about our food and caring about the whole experience so much, you take a lot of emotional baggage on it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. You guys watching, I'm a fan too. We watch and we're like, wow, this is entertaining and we love this person, but you realize there are a lot of sacrifices and things that happen. You see edited versions of what's happening, but we live out the whole experience. And I think sometimes there are things that happen that really it sticks with you for a while because we care so much about it.
And season to season, I think it's a little different too. The personalities get to be so different, but overall, we probably have very similar experiences.
So for me, in terms of back to win, definitely my girl Kate Mead from my season.
Oh yeah, Kate. I wanted her to win too. She was one of the most memorable contestants from your season.
And I think for her, it's her 3rd time back, basically, so just what it takes to really put yourself out there and go for a 3rd time. Yeah. Definitely really excited about that. I loved all the people on my season. People were like, oh, you have to even hate Jeff. And I said, no, I love Jeff. I was his roommate at one point. A lot of people don't know. Yeah. I really got to know people and I enjoyed him. So obviously, Gabe, Mike Newton rooting for them. And also Brian O'Brien, who was from my season. He was eliminated kind of partway through the first third of the season. He's incredibly talented, the nicest person ever. And I really was like, this is his chance to really showcase who he is and what he can do.
Well, and he really took the opportunity he had with Masterchef and I feel used it. Yeah. I think those are the contestants that I'm rooting for. Whether I know you personally or not, if I am watching and saw that you had this opportunity and you took it. You did what you could with this. You deserve to come back. Whether I like your cooking or not. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You deserve it. Definitely.
So for me, the back to win the auditions, I think it was almost like a whole flashback because I got all these feelings and I don't know if it's PTSD or
I think it's safe to say probably.
Yeah, there's a little trauma in there. It's all very stressful just seeing those people
which
back
you
in the
can't
kitchen.
Explain to people that haven't been on it. I think anyone that watches this that has been a past contestant is going to know exactly what we're talking about.
When you knew you were going to audition for the first time for MasterChef, had you applied multiple times?
Never.
Okay.
No, I always wanted to. So my story is funny. I couldn't cook And after
And I think that's really crazy. Sherry telling me she couldn't cook, I'm like, are you serious? And you literally told me that what happened before. Like, you almost applied for what?
Well, so my husband, we've been married like 15 years. When we were first married, I couldn't cook anything. Nothing.
That's crazy.
I had eaten Indian food like twice from a buffet when I was in college. Like, that was it. And so he actually sent in an application to Worst Cooks in America.
I think that is so crazy. Can you believe it?
So, like, producers called. I told my husband, no, I don't want to be on that show. They make them look like fools. Like, this is not the route I want to go. And so we bought this house, and we happened to plug in the TV. It's very, very serendipitous. And wouldn't you know, as you plug it in, you turn it on, Fox came on, weirdly enough, and it happened to be the very first episode of Masterchef, season 1. Weird, right? We watched it because I liked watching cooking shows, even though I could not cook myself. And I told my husband after watching that first episode, I pointed at the TV and I said, that is the show I'm going to be on.
Wow.
And at that point, I didn't really know Gordon Ramsay. We knew him from Kitchen Nightmares. He wasn't, like, Hell's Kitchen wasn't that big at that time. It was growing. Masterchef was brand new. And I told him I wanted to be on that show. And 10 years later, I was on the show. I applied one time. I wanted to apply throughout the seasons, but they only came to Minnesota twice in all that 10 years. And I was like pregnant, or we were traveling to India, so I couldn't do it. So weirdly enough, how I came to apply is I was sitting on the couch feeding my son one night. I happened to turn on the TV. I'd kind of lost track of MasterChef. I didn't watch season 9 because I just busy with kids. I turned it on. It happened to be the finale of season 9. So I thought to myself, oh yeah, like that show, I wanted to be on that. I Googled to see if they were casting from my phone, and they weren't. I didn't see anything, but I followed their Facebook page. And I'm not joking, 2 days later in my Facebook feed, it came up that they were casting, and Minneapolis was the first city that they were coming to. And I was like, it's meant to be. This is for me. And it was. It really was.
I think that's amazing. And all of us have different stories about how we decided we want to audition and the whole process. And I think especially for the contestants returning, I really have a lot of respect for them because it's going through that whole process and preparing. And, Sherry, I guess the question is for you, when you were first auditioning, I know I had to do a lot of prep work to kind of shore up the areas where I felt weak.
But also, how can you prepare?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, so I had 2 young kids, so I couldn't prepare at all. It was kind of like, okay, well, tonight we're gonna have souffles for dinner, and now we're gonna have a molten chocolate lava cake, and like, guess what, guys? Here, I'm gonna fillet a fish.
Yeah.
Like,
And I learned something really interesting about Sherry is that fish was not your thing, right? So can you tell everyone what you and fresh fish?
So I love fish.
Beef there.
I love fish, but my parents have a cabin in northern Minnesota, and when I was 10, I saw my dad fillet a fish, like a live fish, and that was the first time in my little child brain connected that this is a live living creature that I'm eating, and I felt a certain way about that. And from then on, I couldn't eat fish. Like, I just couldn't. And knowing that, yes, like, I know other animals also, like, but it was like that one moment that did it for me. And when I was in college, I was, poor college student, and I needed protein. So I got tuna, and I had to get over that. About 2 days before I went to MasterChef, living in Minnesota, you can't really get whole fish, especially, end of fall, early winter. It's impossible. I went to my grocery store chain, and they have like rainbow trout that swim around in the little tanks. And I asked the guy for a full fish and cried the entire time as I watched him kill it to put it in the paper for me, and then came home. And my dad's best friend is a commercial fisherman in Alaska, and he was like on the phone with me, watching me, talking me through it. Yeah. And I'm just bawling, and he was like, are you gonna cry in front of Gordon Ramsay? And I was like, maybe.
So I think it's really important for people to realize, right? We go to the MasterChef kitchen. We all have our own different sets of experiences where we grew up, things that have happened to us. So when there are skills tests and things like that, you may just be super lucky and you get something that you've done before. Or like, for example, if Sherry hadn't handled that fish before her preparation, there was it your season with the halibut?
No,
that wasn't you. Yeah,
that wasn't me.
But that's just one thing where all the fans are like, no, that was the wrong season. Get your act together.
We need Fred here. Fred,
Where's
what
Fred?
season was it?
But you know, sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. So you can be super strong in
It's just luck.
lots of areas, and then you hit upon that challenge or that task where it's just not your cup of tea, and then you go down.
For me, I didn't go to culinary school. I had no culinary training. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think going to it. I was very naive. I was like a super fan of the show, and just I truly believed that they would teach me what I needed to know. I thought there's recipes hidden in the cupboards. I'll be fine. I can follow a recipe. I also thought that, you know, everyone was going to be a home cook with no culinary training. And it's been publicized. I mean, past contestants have it on their website. Like, a lot of my season was fully trained culinary school. So for me, that was really a good feeling, knowing that, hey, guess what? I made it that far.
Yeah.
And truly, if I would have had that chance, I believe I could have made it farther. And I didn't have culinary school. And actually, Chef Ramsay told me at one point that if I really wanted to pursue cooking, don't go to school, go to a kitchen.
Yeah, because then you really learn what you need. You know what you need to learn, and you learn it there too.
Yeah.
So. All right, so going back to the current season auditions, did they meet your expectations, or what were your thoughts on how folks performed? I was a little surprised, I'm not gonna lie.
I was surprised too, and I always try to keep in the back of my mind that there's a lot that we're not seeing as viewers. So there's extreme stress. There's a lot of stuff in the background that you just don't see, so I try to think about that.
There's emotional baggage from the pressure of like, oh, I need to prove myself again. And then you can psych yourself out with everybody around you.
We all want to overdo it. We want to prove to the chefs that they made a mistake in eliminating us. And everyone else wants to do that too. So I feel like I first of all was surprised in some of the people they brought back and some of the people that weren't there.
Okay.
I would have loved, and I know there's like circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Like babies and whatever, but like I would have loved to see Becky. She was one of my all-time favorites. Elizabeth. I mean,
Monty.
Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah, Leslie. I mean, there was like so many. If you want to call it an all-star season, like there's so many all-stars that just weren't there. And I personally think, as a fan, season like 3 and 4 are like the best out of all of the Masterchef seasons. Whether it's personality, format, whatever it was, season 3 and 4 were magical. And it was really sad to see that they didn't take any contestants from 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So it seemed like it was a little bit more weighted towards the more recent seasons, and you know, any number of different reasons. But obviously we have our favorites going forward. So of those folks who made it through, maybe who's your top pick for, you know, I think personally, I have to say, I've always enjoyed Brandy because she's had just an amazing sense about her, and she was also runner-up. I kind of feel like I have this little thing with
like
her,
a club,
even though I've never actually.
I wish I was in that club.
I haven't talked to some of these people before, but just getting to feeling like knowing what their experience was.
Yeah, I can only imagine like how I felt when I got eliminated, how it would feel to come
all the way to
close, only to lose on something that maybe wasn't cooked all the way, or something that.
And Shari, what I actually say is I didn't lose in the finale, I just didn't win the first.
No, because I mean, look at this though, like really, that's the truth, because we were talking about this earlier. Even going on the show at all, like it is what you make of it. So like the opportunity that you choose to do with it and what you know, how you pursue it. And you've done so much. And in a lot of cases, I think that contestants that don't win and don't get runner-up sometimes even do more because they feel that extra like fire. Like I didn't get what I feel like I should have.
It's a great motivation. It really is. And
we have people that cooked for aprons that didn't get an apron.
And they're doing fabulous.
Are doing more than anyone.
Yeah, for sure. Like Sean Niles comes to mind. He was the pastor who went up against Yashika in my season, Apron Battles for Fried Chicken. He has an amazing, I would say, empire of food stuff going on. So
Vivian, Cooking Bomb, huge. She, I say, is MasterChef's biggest mistake. They should have given her an apron.
Shari, question for you. Who is your favorite judge and why?
So in the beginning, when I first went to the show, Aaron was probably who I wanted to impress the most. And at the end, Gordon, hands down. Gordon has something about him. He's truly, in my experience, I know everybody has different experiences, but in my experience, I felt like he truly saw my potential and saw that I was a good chef. He made me feel that way. It wasn't showed on camera. He spent a lot of time at my station talking to me about my own self-esteem and confidence.
Love that.
And telling me that...
Love you, Gordon. Love you.
Yeah, like really, I mean, honestly, I keep, I keep these in my kitchen.
Yeah.
This is a picture of him with me at my station.
Because I was going to ask you, is there any particular memento you have from the show?
Yeah, this is probably my most treasured. And this is...
And so we can all see this. What's going on in this photo?
I'm cooking scallops, and he's just giving me hell.
Yeah.
I'm cooking scallops. It's like a Bengali dish called chingri malai curry. Chingri is shrimp. I replaced the shrimp with the scallops. This was like the first cook by myself where, after apron cook, and very scared. You don't know what you're doing. Some of the ingredients are not the same as what I use in my own home kitchen. And when you're cooking with spices, that can be difficult. So it was a lot of that and just trying to really focus on what I'm doing, but also take in the moment of like this extremely talented chef standing in front of me. And I actually used that to ask so many questions that weren't even related to what we were cooking.
Yeah.
I would sometimes, like for an example, during my apron round, people kept telling me like, Gordon doesn't like foams. And I was like, but I love foams. Like I want to make foams this season. And
They're like,
so,
Chef, why the foam aversion?
So he gave me my apron and I said, can I ask you something? And he's like, what do you want to ask me? I said, do you like foams?
It's like,
he said the only foam he likes is his shaving cream. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to ask him. And it's true, he doesn't like foams. I made one for him. He did not like it, but it tasted good. I don't care what he says.
And something else. Wow.
This picture is
that
really
is
special
adorable. Wow, and when was this taken?
This was the finale.
The finale.
Yeah, and I also have a cookbook that he autographed too.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's actually his Indian cookbook, which I think was very fitting for my season.
Amazing. Shari, is there an incident or controversy from your season you think that needs to be a little bit clarified or revisited?
There are some things that I wish would have been shown, without going into too much detail on certain things. But like, I once made ceviche and they said it was the best one, but they didn't show that I used like a really fancy technique where I made it in my siphon. A little bit about cooking and science. Pressurizing it puts the flavor into that fish, which you just can't do in 20 minutes. And by using the siphon, I was able to do that, which made mine the best. But they didn't show that I did that, which I wish they would have.
And I think for me, the big thing is, people get to know us on the show as a certain side of us. But I know what you do. You do amazing pastries. You do amazing baking, amazing everything else.
Well, I think once you get the flavor and you have that palate and you understand how spices and balance more than even spices work, you can cook anything, And I also, towards the end, I think what really helped too is when you go into this, I think most contestants think of recipes. Like you're writing down recipes, you're memorizing recipes. Yeah. No, you need to focus on components and techniques.
Yeah, and you need to break out of that.
Yeah.
Because when you do not have a recipe like you're on the show, you're left with your own kind of memory bank of what you know and the basic techniques. So I think for me, the big thing is if they gave us like a mystery box, maybe I know one or two ingredients that I kind of have like I could do this with this. You have to be very flexible. You can't just be like, oh no, I don't have like the baking powder, so I can't make this.
That happened to me once. And actually it was like a real kick in the face because when they put it on TV and they named my dish, they named it with the ingredient that was not in the pantry. Okay. So it was what my dish was supposed to be, but couldn't be.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. You have to be flexible. And I don't think that comes until later in the season. For the people back to win, I expect that from the get-go.
And for Back to Win, what are some of your predictions for who's going to go far this season?
So I wish Fred would have went further, and Gabe too. I was really rooting for them. You know, Bree.
Yeah.
I want Dara to do really well because she was a MasterChef Junior contestant. She's a young kid, not a kid anymore, but she went to pastry school and she put it in and like really made this her thing. And she's so young that winning MasterChef could really just like
catapult,
give it to her.
Yeah.
Like she would be fantastic. I think I would really love to see her win. I would like to see Brandy's still there, right? I'd like to see her do well too. Derek.
Here's the thing. All right.
I want everyone to do well, but
I've never met Derek in person. But I feel like he represents my story a little bit with the kind of runners up. And knowing that in the apron battles, they had a setup where there were 4 prior runner ups.
Yep.
Finalists all in the thing. That's horrifying.
How would you have felt?
That could have easily been me. I would have been boom out, right?
Why would you think you would be out?
I don't think.
Do you realize that most people on social media, Reddit, if you follow any of this, Jason is one of the most liked contestants. Like, Jason isn't gonna go anywhere. Like, why would you think you're gonna be bonked out?
On my own season, every challenge I thought I was gonna be eliminated.
Everybody thinks that.
And I think that's why people were like, oh, he's so genuine, because I was genuinely living that whole experience moment to moment.
Yeah.
And I never took it for granted that I was gonna be.
Did you unpack your suitcase?
My unpack my suitcase?
Yeah. When you were there, did you unpack your suitcase?
Oh no, I was just living out of the like, oh, I need this, and oh, I'm here another day. Like,
I lived out of mine too. A lot of contestants, do you know that they unpack their suitcase?
Because they that's the mentality though. Like, I'm here to stay. Shari, I'm sure a big question that a lot of people have is how come we didn't see you on this season? And we all have different reasons, and I think it's interesting to know. Yeah.
I think if you listen closely, you can hear kids crying, first of all. It was hard. Like, would I have loved to be there? Yes, I would have loved to be there. But there were a lot of things that I kind of needed before I could go there.
Yeah.
One being daycare, and that's expensive. The other was that COVID was like at a peak, and my husband works from home. He's the main moneymaker, and I've already went and lived this once in a lifetime dream. How can I do that again, knowing that schools might go virtual, and I have 2 kids, and how can he work plus teach? It's just impossible. It would not have been good for my family life. As much as I would have loved to be there, and as much as I think, even with the daycare, like all those other things that I had questions about, it would have probably been a no for me.
And thank you for being so real about this, because you know, when we watch the show, sometimes we don't think about it. These people are real people with real lives.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing to go back and do these certain things, but sometimes it's just not practical. So, for example, you know, the whole gist of the show is you don't know how far you're going to go, but you basically have to block out the entire possible time that you could be on the show. So you have to say to your job, hey, I might be gone for 3 months, but you could go there and be out in a week. But meanwhile, somebody's covered you, you're not going to get that income back, right?
No, it's really hard. And not only that, but like also on this, going back to when, if my life was different and I didn't have kids at home, I would have been there in a heartbeat. I would have done whatever I had to do, signed everything that they wanted me to sign. I don't care. Take me to MasterChef. Life is not that way.
Yeah.
So I also feel like I am so much more confident in my own cooking abilities. I know I'm a good cook.
Yeah.
I don't need to go back to MasterChef and cook against these other contestants and like pray that I say the right thing or I do whatever I need to do to get the airtime, to catch the producer's attention, to hopefully like keep moving on. Like, I know I'm a good cook.
Yeah.
And I think when you hit that point of knowing like I'm good at what I do, you're not necessarily looking for that validation.
Right.
I think the first time I went, I was looking for that validation, and Chef Ramsay gave me that validation.
And I think it's important, you know, even though it is something that's near and dear to our hearts, it may not be the right choice for you, just career-wise, direction-wise, and I think it's important to know that. And obviously we watched this season and we're like, wait, that could have been us, but Shari, that doesn't mean we could be on the next season.
You know, Australia, do you know what Australia did? So they had Back to Win, Then they had a regular season, and then they had fans versus favorites with different contestants. Then they're back to win.
So the door's still open, and I think it's also important, like, I don't think people realize, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, it's not compensated.
No, and that was the big thing.
It's not compensated, right?
And like knowing that how much we would have to spend to go, because it's out of your own everything.
Yeah.
To go the first time, it was very expensive. We had to bring like 30 outfits. I mean, it's a big cost. This isn't something that is just like, totally covered.
So on that note, for all the people who are competing in this current season, I think you folks need to go find them, go find their social media, give them support, because they've actually sacrificed a lot of resources, time, money, and energy in order to be there, to be on TV, to entertain us all with this incredible experience. So go show them some love and give them your support. All right, so it's been amazing to talk to Shari, and this is my first time to Minnesota.
Yeah, it's
She's
crazy.
welcomed me into her home, but there's something that smells amazing. Something amazing. And Shari said, I'm gonna cook you something. So Shari, what
Well, we already broke into it.
was
We've already eaten lunch.
outstanding, delicious.
I made biryani.
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna hold this up and so people
Here,
can
I'm gonna
see.
just take a big scoop out.
Oh,
so they can
wow.
see. Chicken biryani.
Folks, this is outrageously delicious. And if you have any questions about whether Shari knows how to cook, she knows how to cook. Now, I do some judging stuff in Taiwan and around, and I have no complaints about the deliciousness of this dish. So even though Shari cooks a bunch of different things, I think it's so lovely to be here with you and to, she's legit. She really knows her stuff. Shari, where can we find you on social media and to keep track of updates and what you're up to?
Sure, I am on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything, TikTok at Spiced Up Mom. You can find me there mostly. I would say that's probably the best. My website, spicedupmom.com. Hopefully there will be more recipes on there. There are a few on there, some oldies but goodies. Those are the main places to find me now.
And I'm going to tell you all of the stuff that she puts out. She's a perfectionist. It's well researched. She's testing things out. So I would 100% trust anything that Shari's putting out there. It's going to be delicious, amazing, and something that you would want to share with your family and friends. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens next time for tea with our next MasterChef family folks I'm going to talk to. But anything else you want to share with our MasterChef fandom and people out there watching?
I'm so excited to meet him. Like I said, I was like a fan of the show, so to me this was really cool.
Everyone, this is Jason Wang and this is Shari Mukherjee, MasterChef family folks, and we will see you next time. Okay, bye.